KZN Police Commissioner Lt-Gen Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi recently claimed that unions demanding higher wages are partly responsible for rising unemployment. This sparked a backlash from unions, which argue that government mismanagement, corruption and austerity, not fair wages, are the real culprits. South African Police and Union spokesperson Lesiba Thobakgale reacted to Mkhwanazi's claims. Lesiba, good to speak to you. Now, your immediate reaction when you heard those claims from Mkhwanazi?
Yeah, thank you, Hugo, for having us, and greetings to your viewers. We are quite disappointed to hear such comments being made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. And us as a trade union, we are saying that we call upon him, the General, to come to us so that we can take him through the labor laws in this regard. I mean, he's doing a great work when it comes to fighting crime, and we acknowledge him for that, the leadership he's giving in KZN and the efforts he's making as the Provincial Commissioner. But when it comes to the labor laws, in terms of the comments he made, that is clearly trying to erode democracy, because the labor laws in this country, they are part of democracy, and they were fought for with blood and sweat. Some even lost their lives fighting for democracy. So if labor laws are to be eroded or to be spoken about like that, it clearly means that it implies that even the democracy is not being recognized. I mean, even the General himself, he is an employee who has been employed by the very same labor laws, and everything that he does in the province is in relation and is guided by the labor laws. And we must say, Hugo, when we go to the bargaining councils to negotiate salaries of workers, we do that clearly being informed by the global economy and also by the domestic economy. And the determination of that, we use experts, we use economists, we use the people who are experts in the field to do what we call the economic outlook for us, which clearly will inform us to say, how does the global and also the domestic economy looks like, and at what range must we then make our demands. And also the high cost of living, Hugo, in South Africa, it even affects even the public servants in this regard. If we have to go and look, if we are to say that there is no salary increase for them, or we don't demand a salary increase that will make them to really see something better go into their bank accounts at the end of the month, then it means that they will not be able to cope with the high cost of living that we see rising from time to time in this country. Public servants, or even the workers as well, they have a right for them to have their conditions of service salaries improved so that they can be able to catch up with the high cost of living. Maybe let me take you as well, Hugo, to the non-implementation of the last leg of the 2018 agreement in the PSCBC during the COVID period in 2020. That non-implementation, even today, the public servants are still reeling, because it really means their salary did not increase for that year. The pension contribution by the employer did not increase for that year, and any other benefits or conditions of service which could have been improved at that time. So all of those are as the result of the non-implementation. So we fought hard for these labor laws, and we will continue to defend them.
So what are the implications of a high-ranking police officer that I'd imagine many police members look up to making these remarks, particularly when for the last few months, the last few years, much of what we've been talking about is the issues that many police officers are facing, the number of deaths on duty in the police force, the numbers of policemen and women, which result in them being overextended because there aren't enough boots on the ground.
Yeah, it is a problem. We continue to see SAPS as the employer losing so many workers, more especially police officers, through natural attrition, and some they get killed. As we know, police killing, it is an issue in this country. Yet they are not earning enough, and the little that they are earning, it should not be taken for granted, because when we fight to improve their conditions of service is to make sure that even they themselves, they are able to really make sure that they are taking something home at the end of the month. As we know, there is no adequate housing for public servants. Most of them don't own houses, more especially when we look at the police police officers, some of them, they are renting in different types of places because clearly they cannot afford housing in this regard. If they were affording everything, and if indeed the cost of living was not an issue for public servants, then we may be having another different conversation. But the status quo as we speak, for over the years, public servants, they continue to suffer, more especially the members of SAPS. As we know, some of them, they do get targeted when they are off duty, not only when they are on duty. And some of those impacts is in terms of where they reside as well, because that on its own, it makes them to be easily targeted. So the general, he's earning a lot of money himself, being the provincial commissioner. Maybe that's why he finds it better for him to make such comments. But if he was earning the very same amount that most of the members are earning, those who are on the ground, I'm not referring to senior managers, as he is one of them, if he would feel on the high cost of living that they are faced with, then he wouldn't be making the very same comments in this regard. But we are saying that we are indeed prepared to school him on the labor laws, and he must stay on his lane, which is to focus on crime. He's doing well in that fraternity, and that we must acknowledge it. But in terms of the labor laws, I think let's draw the lines in between.
Now you've talked about schooling Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Are you going to engage him, or is this debate, conversation staying on these public platforms?
No, we are making that call to say that the general is good with crime fighting. And in terms of the labor laws, we are prepared, if he's willing to come to us as SAPU, so we can really show him where this democracy comes from, because the labor laws are part of democracy, and we cannot erode all the gains that we made. I mean, compared to other countries, South Africa, it has labor laws that are seeking to protect workers. And anyone who would come and say the labor laws are not in order in our country, because even us as trade unions, we exist because of the very same labor laws to go and be able to represent our members. Our existence is informed by the very same labor laws, and it is recognized by the law accordingly. So we stand to say that the labor laws are valid and they should not be taken for granted, because we come far from them. They didn't just come easily, but it was quite a struggle for us to finally to gain them through democracy, and we should be able to uphold them. And everybody should be able to uphold them. I mean, even him, he's the number one in KZN in terms of SAPS, and those who are working under him, he's clearly guided by the very same labor laws. So one cannot indeed try to be otherwise, whereas he knows that those laws are in existence and he has to follow them.
And as we wrap, Lesiba, why is protecting worker rights critical for South Africa's democracy?
The democracy, as we know, it has indeed brought liberation to the country and everyone in the country, and coming to bring in the issues of labor laws, because we know most of the workers are vulnerable. Without labor laws, they will continue to be vulnerable. I mean, some of them, they remain vulnerable even when the labor laws are there. So they are quite important, because when we are to challenge as a trade union, to challenge the employers when it comes to them not following the labor laws, they are there to guide us. We are able to seek recourse. Without the labor laws, we would not be having the recourse that we have through different structures in this regard. So they are quite important to us. They are the cornerstone of employment in South Africa. Without them, we wouldn't be having such rights. We wouldn't be being able to really ensure that we are fighting for our workers in this regard. And in this regard, us being a union in the safety and security sector, being SAPU, we are saying that it is indeed helping us to fight for all the law enforcement officers who are our members, and where we are organizing from.
Okay, that's where we leave that conversation. Lesiba Thobakgale, SAPU Police Union spokesperson, appreciate your time and calling on Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, in his own words, to stay in his lane.